I had a whole theory about them being friends but having a fallout, but then I saw Darius booing Ellitor in the photo when they were kids, so never mind. I think. I don't know whether I should feel delighted or stupid about this one. Anyways, Thames the Breaks Kids was a fun episode. It was great to see young Ida and Rain, although somewhere I would have liked more young Lilith or even their parents in the episode. Maybe also because I feel like this episode doesn't really directly accomplish anything, besides being a fun flashback episode. Future Ida and Rain interactions might make it feel more impactful in hindsight though. So of all things, this might be a setup episode. Wait. Again. Yeah. Maybe watch my Follies at the Coven Day Parade video before this one. I really liked the whistling callback though, and also that Rain is the reason Ida loves apple blood, as otherwise she would have perhaps never drunk it in the first place. It just gives Ida's love for apple blood more depth, instead of just something they can pull off a joke about so now and then. I also definitely like Tara more now. I just feel like I got a better grip on her personality and could enjoy her more, perhaps because my expectations for her were lowered after last time. I also completely didn't expect her in this episode, so it was a nice surprise. I particularly find it interesting though how she's pretty straightforward here, while in Follies, she was sneakier. It shows how her character has developed as she got older, and how she knows how to approach situations more tactically at her older age. This just makes her character more interesting and deep. So yeah, good stuff in terms of Tara, although still not as fun as Darius, but I think pretty close. In the end everyone has their favorites though, so that's more than good enough. The bit of young Principal bump we got was also nice. And I also enjoyed the creepiness of Principal Faust a good bit. The last scene also got me very excited for what's next, as it seems like Darius and Rain are plotting against Belos. That abomination at least looks very much like the one Darius made in Any Sport in a Storm, except it was big. Speaking of big. The Core and the King, oh yeah, whoop whoop. This is definitely one of my favorite episodes of Amphibia. The only critique I have is that the episode probably would have been better if it took the full 20 minutes, as they kinda sped through it now. I did expect this to be a critique I'd have though, and after 2.5 seasons, I can accept mostly 10-minute episodes are just the show's format, so I've already gotten over it. Besides that though, amazing stuff. Darcy is both threatening and incredibly fun, Beryl and Leaf were pretty awesome, and Andrea's backstory suits him perfectly and creates the perfect sympathetic side to him. Also, the last scene is one of the best scenes in the show. You see Andrea starting to regret his actions, as he literally hears the voices of the past in his head. Even though he's also literally trying to burn those voices away. The consideration of not flipping the switch is also just perfect. It was the perfect moment to stop everything that he's doing and he actually considers it. And then the kinda sarcastic comment about how he's been waiting 1,000 years to invade Earth, so of course he's ready, but it doesn't sound genuine, right? And to close it off, his father tells him he's almost proud of him. Almost, huh? I think that's a very much intended word choice, as Andrea's family has been about conquering worlds for forever now. And meanwhile the Core has only encouraged it, but is it ever enough? Probably not, so the almost could refer to Andrea's never being able to live up to the expectations of his ancestors, because they have an endless hunger to conquer. And eventually Andreas could realize this, and maybe even destroy the Core, which could also result in his own demise. And yes, I do think Andreas might be the most ideal character to destroy the Core, as it would mean he'd basically kill his ancestors, which would be a big step in the good direction for him. Maybe even the biggest step he can take, as living up to his father's expectations has been the main struggle for him. And that also brought me to the realization that Andrea's story, and actually the one of his Core ancestors, is quite sad. One of Andrea's ancestors ever came up with the idea to keep themselves alive in a robot, and then raised their kid with the idea they should do the same. How you're raised determines a big part of who you are, thus every descendant after has been raised with the same idea and nobody has been able to break the cycle yet. But the saddest thing of it might be that the core dictates their whole life, assuming all of them were as dependent on it as Andrea's father, who consults it for every choice he makes. To make it worse, you could even say the ancestor who made the core, has actually been fully or partially making all the choices within the family for thousands of years. An additional sad thing about Andreas specifically is that after everything that happened, he now believes in the claim of his father that friends eventually leave you behind. And he actually had a friend in Marcy recently, but gave that up. I wonder if that whole friendship thing will be more parallel to the Calamity Trio. Yes it will. I think.